Hello and thank you for joining us. I'm Cody Proctor. This is the KREM 2 News Week in Review, where each weekend we bring you the headlines from the past week here in the Inland Northwest. Let's get started with one of the biggest news stories of the past few days.
The press conference was short, but through the tears, you could hear just how much those friends love those little girls as new video shows their personalities at home.
Decker, nice.
Limbo in the living room.
You can't stop halfway, Abby.
There we go, Abby, nice.
The girl's mother says this home video captures the personalities of her girls, Peyton, Evelyn, and Olivia.
Go on, Olivia.
They're practicing limbo at their grandparents' house before school 3 months ago. Three Lights in Wenatchee, classmates and members of their church continue to visit the memorial in the center of town. The grief is felt across the country and across the globe. A Facebook page dedicated to the girls' memory shows people around the world lighting 3 candles and sending words of support, including people from Germany, Ireland, Australia, Italy, and South Africa.
The outpouring of love, generosity, and support has been overwhelming.
Those generous contributions will afford Mom time away from her job as a financial analyst and cover the cost of her final goodbyes. The girls were going and loving their young lives at home, at dance, and with their classmates. Evelyn was a member of the Greater Wenatchee Soccer Club. They walked the halls of Lincoln Elementary. They were part of an acting group and left a mark across their community.
They are cherished, not just by the family, but by our entire community who watched them grow, perform, learn, and love. We ache with the love we still carry for them, and we always will.
Forever missed and remembered. Here in Chelan County, the Sheriff's Office says no further press conferences are scheduled at this time. In Wenatchee, Alex McClune, KREM 2 News. We are getting a fuller picture of Travis Decker, the man whose life appeared to be falling apart with mental illness, homelessness, and the inability to hold down a job. And access to his kids was cut to every other weekend after a custody hearing 9 months ago.
He was an engaged father. He did have some limitations on his parenting time due to his mental illness.
The mother's attorney in the custody case says Travis became homeless a year and a half ago after leaving the Army as a Ranger.
He left voluntarily, so I believe his discharge was honorable. I think as far as the reserves, he just stopped showing up.
The attorney says Travis worked a couple of minimum wage jobs and at one point was talking to the Carpenters Union about possible work, but his skills just didn't transfer.
There were no red flags. He was struggling with isolation. And
records show Decker was diagnosed with a serious mental illness. The attorney says that was most likely related to his combat and that Decker tried and tried to get help, but there was too much red tape to get veteran services.
She really feels that the system let her children down. It was the inadequacies in the services for our veterans that killed those children. That's it.
The attorney and the mom are also raising concerns about the state's Amber Alert system. Law enforcement officials say they did not see Decker as an immediate danger to his own children, so no Amber Alert was sent out. The attorney says the mother thinks that was a deadly mistake.
They did not see him as an immediate physical danger to his children, despite the fact that he had a well-established history of mental health issues. And had they had seen it that way, those children might still be alive. And that's the thing that is so brutal. And the one thing she's really hoping can be changed in this tragedy.
Prepare to vote.
Spokane City Council's approval
Thank you.
of the second lawsuit tied to this case means more taxpayer dollars paying out settlements. The latest $400,000 settlement will be paid from the city's risk management fund, which uses taxpayer dollars. The city's spokesperson says, similar to health insurance deductibles, the payout didn't meet the threshold required for the city's self-insurance policy to apply. The Spokane Police Department discharged former Officer Nathan Nash in 2019 when 2 women accused him of rape while on duty.
You never had consensual sex with her in August of 2019, right?
In 2022, a jury found Nash guilty of 3rd and 2nd degree rape. Then, both women filed lawsuits against the city of Spokane. The first was resolved last year with a $300,000 settlement. This week's payout brings the total cost to taxpayers $700,000. In both lawsuits, the city, not its insurance policy, paid the settlements. This afternoon, Spokane Police shared a statement about Nash, which reads in part, "This type of conduct is unacceptable and discredits the professionalism and exemplary public service demonstrated by our officers on a daily basis."
Welcome back to the KREM 2 News Week in Review. It's been a busy week across the Inland Northwest, so let's catch you up on some of the news you might have missed.
The main messaging agencies spearheading the manhunt want viewers to understand is that if you have a tip, it has to be something that you see firsthand, not text, not rumors, or something that you might have seen online. After the not credible sighting in McCall, Idaho.
As we understood, based off the information we got back, was that the sighting in McCall, Idaho was not our suspect, but we'll continue to work with our neighboring agencies, not only here in the state, but across the nation, to help us track down any leads we do get.
Sheriff Mike Morrison with Chelan County is doubling down on where people can find both new information about the investigation and where people with potential information about Decker's whereabouts can submit a tip.
We are feeling optimistic thanks to our Marshals Department that has come through and tracked down some good leads that we feel are giving us more of an insight into Travis's mindset, where he may have not gone or may have gone to.
At this time, Chelan County Sheriff's Office says for everyone living in or with cabins in remote counties surrounding Chelan to stay vigilant because Decker is still on the run and well versed in surviving in this environment. As agencies comb through the area around the Rock Island campground, people with property in those areas are asked to lock all their doors and outbuildings, leave window blinds open, and outside lights on. Sheriff Morrison says law enforcement is patrolling around the clock.
Our primary goal is to track him down. Of course, we want to make sure that he's safe, but ultimately he will be brought to justice.
As the search continues, the U.S. Marshals Service wants to remind everyone that while it's not known at this time if Decker is armed, he is still considered dangerous. Chelan County Sheriff's Office posted recent photos of Decker as well as an older photo of him without facial hair. As a reminder, Decker is 5'8", 190 pounds with black hair and brown eyes. As seen in this photo, he has distinct tattoos on his arms and torso, noticeably 2 bands around his left forearm and a skull with a parachute on his right inner forearm. Up on your screen now is all the different tip lines you can reach out to via phone or online. Law enforcement stresses that if you do end up seeing Decker, do not contact or approach him, but rather call 911 immediately.
Travis, if you're out there seeing us, we'd like you to turn yourself in. We want a peaceful resolution to this, but we're not going to relinquish our efforts and giving up any effort that we can proceed to track you down.
Again, we have those links to submit a tip online and all of those phone numbers up on our website, KREM.com. In the newsroom, Christian Garza, KREM 2 News.
Well, from overcrowded emergency rooms to services, even entire hospitals closing, Senator Murray and some healthcare providers are once again putting out that reminder. They say that every Washingtonian, Medicaid recipient or not, are going to feel negative impacts if the bill passes as is. From across the state, U.S. Senator Patty Murray says the letters keep coming. Doctors from Yakima to Spokane.
Many of them can barely scrape enough money together for their appointments.
On behalf of patients prepping to possibly lose Medicaid. And that, providers warn, will impact every person in the state.
Patients may even ration food or skip medication altogether. All this adds up to patients who, when they do seek care, will require higher level care, which is also more expensive.
Multicare's Alex Jackson says uninsured patients will end up in emergency rooms, increasing waits for everyone. Julie Stackman provides home care in Spokane, but she's also preparing to maybe leave the job, facing loss of hours and benefits.
And we don't want to. We love what we do, but love doesn't buy groceries.
State Senator Marcus Riccelli says Eastern and Central Washington will fare the worst. Half of his district's children are on Apple Health, Washington's Medicaid program.
Everyone will suffer. In Spokane County, over 35% of the population is covered by Medicaid.
It's going to be a care crisis.
Now, Senator Murray's office says between cuts to Medicaid and the possible repeal of the Affordable Care Act, about 600,000 Washingtonians could lose health care coverage. Shannon Mowdy, KREM 2 News.
Thanks for joining KREM 2 News this weekend. I'm Cody Proctor. Right now, we're taking a look back at some of the news stories from the past week in this edition of the KREM 2 News Week in Review.
A city spokesperson tells me as of March 11th of this year, Spokane Valley's paid roughly $180,000 in legal fees regarding Councilmember Merkel's current investigation so far, and now those costs are only going up.
There he is. He's doing it right now. He's not the mayor.
Tensions raised at Spokane Valley's city council meeting. The hot topic, Councilmember Al Merkel's proposed settlement in an investigation against him. The city's investigated Councilmember Merkel for the past several months, alleging his use of the social media platform Nextdoor for city business on his personal account.
That exposes the city to substantial risk of liability under the Public Records Act, which carries with it attorney's fees, penalties, attorney's fees and costs, as well as exposes the city to damages.
City Attorney Kelly Conkright presented the information to council members. Councilmember Merkel argues he's complied with the city in handing over all the information to make his social media on city business public. In the meeting, Councilmember Merkel asked for the lawsuit's dismissal, the city to cover his legal fees, and an independent person to review his social media. That request proved unsuccessful.
I'm not surprised about any of this. Once again, this council has the opportunity to do the right thing, to put an end to a frivolous and politically motivated lawsuit.
The city estimates paying $350,000 in legal services for this investigation going to court. That money comes from the general fund, which includes sales and property taxes. That $350,000 would be taken out of salaries and benefits for public safety department staff and 2 new police cars. Mayor Pam Haley says while an expensive cost, it is necessary for the city and the taxpayer.
This is not a settlement offer. This is an offer to try to get attorney's fees paid. You, the citizens of Spokane Valley, should not have to pay his attorney's fees.
Now the matter is being taken to Spokane County Superior Court. That court date is July 18th. In Spokane Valley, Connor McAvoy, KREM 2 News.
Well, just a day after his 16th birthday, Braden Bame died in a freak accident during PE class when he was impaled by a goalpost. Now, 2 years later, as his senior class is just days away from graduation, his family is preparing to honor both his life and his legacy.
A young man who loved football, fishing, his family, and friends.
With loss, there's hope.
Braden Bame's mother, Heather Bame, says Braden was excited for life beyond graduation.
But we didn't realize, truly, the impact he had on the people that he engaged with without us. And I think that just kind of blew us away.
Heather Bame says as the senior class graduates this weekend, she sees her son in every student and is excited to support the community that got them through the toughest times.
The class of 2025, celebrating everything he worked for and everything he was working towards. And though his seat is empty, his presence is everywhere.
KREM 2 reached out to Cheney Public Schools, and they say their hearts are with the Bame family. You can see their statement on your screen now.
Congratulations, class of 2025, your future is bright. Braden believed in it, and so do we. Thanks for keeping his light with you.
Again, those graduation celebrations start this Friday in the morning for a senior breakfast where seniors can write letters to Braden. And following in the evening at graduation, there will be a chair marked for Braden. I'm reporting in Cheney, Regan Gallo, KREM 2 News.
I'm standing here on Cortland Avenue where Spokane police officers say 2 drive-by shootings happened less than a week apart from each other. In a response, officers say there's going to be a lot more patrolling of this street as well as installing a security camera. It's a quiet day along Cortland Avenue, but neighbors like Rick York say at night that isn't always the case. That's after a drive-by shooting he says woke him up early Sunday morning.
40 or 50 shots fired out. Nobody knows exactly why.
Police still don't. That shooting comes just days after another one on the same road happened on May 26th. In both incidents, nobody was hurt. Officers remain tight-lipped on details of both incidents. Right now, they're only saying it's unclear if both are connected and no arrests have been made.
It's a sad situation here because Spokane's a great place to live.
The shootings have Spokane police rethinking how they keep tabs on the neighborhood.
It just kind of draws folks based on its location. So the reason that's why we're trying to close down that activity as best we can. So that was the reason for this enforcement at this time.
Officer Daniel Strassenberg says right now there's no danger to the public. However, he says there will be more police monitoring of the street going forward, as well as a 24/7 surveillance camera. For York, it's a welcome change.
We're hoping the camera and the new police presence will reduce incidents like this in the future.
As police continue searching for people connected to the shootings, York plans to change how he spends his days at home and hopes his neighbors do the same.
Be a little more vigilant and call 911 perhaps a little more. We'll see.
Connor McAvoy, KREM 2 News.
Welcome back. Before we wrap up this edition of the KREM 2 News Week in Review, we want to remind you that you can get the latest newscasts and weather forecasts anytime on KREM 2 Plus. It's free to watch and download on Roku, Amazon Fire, and on Apple TV. Now, here's one more story before we go.
As she drives up the bumpy road to her more than 100-acre property, Jennifer Kalbach reflects on years of her and her family's work to create the Panhandle Bike Ranch, a space for them and other mountain bikers to enjoy. She says the interest is a shared one in the Sagal community.
People love to recreate, and whether that's mountain biking, spending time on the lake, there's a lot of that going on around here.
But mountain biking here can only be enjoyed by her family and 15-person staff for now. This after a Bonner County judge revoked the permit on Tuesday after the Kalbach family went through the effort of applying and qualifying for a conditional use permit, or CUP, through Bonner County. That permit, by definition, allows a property owner to use their land in ways that normally wouldn't be allowed by local zoning ordinances. Kalbach says that would have meant opening the bike park up to the public as a business, allowing people to ride it in the warmer months. The Kalbachs attended 2 hearings on the issue with neighbors in the area who opposed the park.
We went to court and they presented their case that we were a resort and not a recreation facility, which is you're not allowed to have a resort in this area, but you are permitted to have a recreation facility. Our family and all of our crew have put a lot of work into this. So yeah, everybody is devastated.
It's an issue that's got her neighbor Mary Miller's blood boiling.
Yeah, it's basically a resort.
She argues the bike park's construction alone's already caused issues.
That shouldn't be being built in a residential area where all the other families have to sit and listen.
Despite the pushback, the Kalbachs are continuing to effort opening the bike park, but their next hearing date isn't until the end of the summer. She says that's writing time being taken away.
We're only open May through October 15th. If we can get those dates are like based on the weather.
She hopes it's just another rough road to overcome, hoping to share her property with the Sagal community.
I guess we'll just have to see when we go back and see what the county decides, if they stay with their decision, their original decision, or if they change their minds.
The bike park becoming a reality is still going to be fought in Bonner County Court. A next hearing on the matter is scheduled for August 25th. In Sagal, Connor McAvoy, KREM 2 News.
Thank you so much for spending a part of your weekend with us on the KREM 2 News Week in Review. Be sure to keep it here on KREM 2 for more news and weather updates. I'm Cody Proctor. Thanks for watching.